I'm up potting some tomatoes too. They got a little bit too big for the cups. Check out that root. Root going deep. So this will be a patio choice yellow tomato. Looking good. Here are the parts and items I'm going to use to make my self-wicking seed cups. So everybody online, I did a little research, talks about the double cup method, where you basically stack 2 cups on top of one another. And you got to put something in between them to give a gap in between the 2 cups for space. So then I was thinking, well, why don't I go with a bigger cup? So I went to HEB, got my 24-ounce cup to stack and sit inside of my other cup. So I don't have to put anything at the bottom. Well, then I did a little research, and everybody online said, this is awesome for the double cup, but then I got to fill this up every day. And I stumbled upon another video where a guy talked about self-wicking cups. So I'm going to take his idea. I'm going to use the clear cup so I can see the water level, and I'm going to make self-wicking cups. So I'm going to use some nylon string, 2 cups, my power drill to make the hole, and then we'll use our organic potting soil, and I'm going to up pot all of my tomatoes, and maybe in a couple weeks I'll start doing some of my peppers. So that's the plan. We'll see how it works. So something I have heard people talk about with the double cup, or what I'm doing, the self-wicking cup, is with tomatoes, you know, you don't have to, you can bury the stem. So the deeper you bury the plant, the more roots it's going to grow. So when I first put these in here, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to fill these all the way up with soil to the top. I'm probably going to fill them up about halfway. And as these tomatoes start growing up, I'll just start filling in with soil, real similar to if you've like done potatoes and you've kind of hilled them up as they've grown. And that way this plant will just keep producing roots up the stem until hopefully the end of the season and I'm ready to put them outside. They're at the top of the cup. So like I said, I'll probably fill these up about halfway. I'll put my tomato plants in there. I'll have my string hanging out of the bottom. And then as these settle in and they start to really grow and really get up tall, I'll add some more soil. When they get to the top, I'll add more soil. So when I get ready to plant these out in the springtime, this whole cup will hopefully be these really nice, healthy roots that are ready to go into the ground. And I'm gonna have a nice plant that's ready to start producing tomatoes right out of the gate. Well, hopefully right out of the gate. That's the plan. Not all plans happen, but this is the plan. We're gonna try it out this year, see if I can't get some tomatoes early in the season. Side note, pro tip, this organic soil potting mix, I'm using this because I caught it on sale. So at the end of the season, I stumbled upon Walmart and these things were going for like $2.50 or $3 a bag. So I just stocked up on all of this soil. I've used it before and it's worked pretty good so far this year. I've up potted a few different things, and the ingredients on this one, I don't know if you can read those, kelp meal, forest products, peat moss. For us, it says most of this stuff is going to come from peat moss, poultry litter, alfalfa meal, and kelp meal here in California, Texas, Idaho. So there's a lot of stuff in here that plants obviously love. I've made my own soil. I've done the Mel's mix, the third. I'm going to use this because I have it on hand. It was cheap. I mean, it was $3 for this big bag. I'll be able to fill up a lot of cups because I got a lot of tomatoes I'm up potting. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to add in a few different things. You can probably see them here in the background, but I'll add in a little bit of amendments. I don't think these seedlings are going to need too much. I'll just kind of keep an eye on them because most of the nutrients I'm going to give it are going to come from the bottom of the cup. So I'll put my organic fertilizer in the bottom. It'll wick up the string, and then it'll feed the plant, and hopefully I will have super good tomatoes for the coming up spring. So I'm starting these super early. It is the middle of January right now. I mean, it is freezing outside. It's January 29th. So I'm starting these really early. But the goal is when I start all of this stuff early, they'll be ready to go. March 1st is my target date. So for me here in Midland, Texas, West Texas, we go from winter spring for about that long and summer. So we go from super cold, talking, you know, right now it's 30 degrees out. We're getting hit with this polar vortex. I'm going to be back in the 60s and 70s next week. And sometimes I'm already in the hundreds by May, like early May. So there's a very small window to get this spring production of tomatoes in. So the goal is to always try to get my tomatoes out as early as possible. The earlier I can get them out there, the more production I can get in that super small spring window. By the time summertime comes and it's 100 degrees and I put up my shade, I might get a few tomatoes here and there, but really they stop producing for me and then they kick back up in the fall. So I need to plan ahead, work to get my plants as big as I can get them, as strong as I can get them. So when they hit the ground and we hit them early in March, they'll be producing. Hopefully by April and May, I'll get that first flush of tomatoes. Growing a bunch of different varieties. I'll put all of that in another video, breaking down kind of what I'm growing, maybe why, the plan behind it. And then I'll go over kind of the layout of what I'm doing. But I just wanted to kind of try this out, see if this double cup self-wicking cup works. And if it does, this is probably the way I'm going to do it for a while moving forward, because this seems like such an easy system where I'm not having to water all the time. I'm just going to gradually fill the cup up as I go. So I feel like I'm combining two or three different things. But overall, I think it's going to give me a better result and have my plants ready to roll when that first wave of heat comes in and it starts to warm up, and we can get those plants in the ground. See, all the way through the bottom. Oh, fell out. I've seen people do this with soldering irons or like a hot nail if you don't have access to a drill. But I mean, I have a drill, so this is the easiest way for me to do it. And in a matter of minutes, we've got a bunch of cups that are ready to sit inside the 24 ouncer. Now, we'll get our string. I'm gonna move you. So our string needs to sit in the water. So we'll cut the string and tie a little knot, and that's what's gonna help it hang down. So let's get that done. So my string, it's nylon string. It's about 1 inch difference, but I'm gonna go a little bit longer because I have to tie a knot and I want it to touch the bottom of the cup. So I'm thinking about, let's go 2.5 inches. All right, 2.5 inches. Now I'm gonna tie a little knot. Obviously I did not go to Boy Scouts for tying knots. Probably should have. If you know a fancy knot, feel free to tell me what type of fancy knot I should be tying. But really, I just want this to basically stop up the hole in the cup. So this will just hang down, I hope. Now my hand is a little bit too big to push it through, so I'm going to use a little piece of bamboo to help me get it through the bottom of the hole. And there you go. It's kind of like a reverse fuse on a cannonball or a firework. And then, boom. So this will sit in the cup. The water will fill up. It'll wick up the string with the crazy magic of water and what it does, and hydrodynamics if you're a scientist out there. And now I'll be able to reuse this cup once I do the tomatoes for a long time. That's the reason you use nylon, is so you don't break down. You can use cotton, you can use jute twine. I don't think I have any jute hanging up in the dirty shop background here, but if you use nylon, it won't break down. It's going to touch the bottom of the water. It's going to wick up that string, and then your plant will be able to suck up that water into the soil. You can feed all your nutrients down here. So it's kind of like I'm doing hydroponics without a crazy setup, with a bunch of easy items that I just picked up at grocery stores, Dollar Trees, Dollar Generals, Home Depot. If you have string laying around, I've seen online people use shoelaces, shirts, rags. I actually don't have any rags in the background either. But all of this stuff is just an easy way for you to take something that, you know, you have to do. You have to up pot your tomatoes. Kind of make it, I think, a little bit easier. Something I did see online as well was that these can get a bit top heavy. So I have a solution. Meet my giant tray. So this is a $5 bin I picked up from Dollar Tree. I don't know if you've picked up on wanting to do this on a budget, but I'll be able to put all these cups in here, and now they're not going to tumble over. I'm able to move them all together. This is going to make it a lot more convenient for me to slide it in and out of that shelving system of lights that I have. So I will fill this with tomatoes and we'll see what it looks like. But now I'm going to get to building a ton of self-wicking cups. So here are a bunch of wicking cups. I got about 36 of them, and these are the tomatoes I'm going to up pot. A bunch of different varieties. You can kind of see the name on the side there, from a bunch of different brands. So I have ordered seeds from Botanical Interest, In My Gardener, Baker Creek. I've even ordered some from like the Organigo site that's on Amazon. But just trying out a bunch of different types. I actually only need 1 or 2 of these of each type of tomato so far in my outdoor garden. I'm doing raised beds, I'm doing bags, I'm doing some self-wicking beds. But my goal with these is to just kind of see which ones work the best and then kind of double down on those. I've done this large cherry 3 years now, and every year it's the craziest cherry tomato. And these are actually self-seed, so these are seeds from last year that I saved, and pretty much the germination rate on them was crazy. So I do save seeds if they're organic, if it's not a hybrid or something. And my goal is to save maybe the next few years so it'll get used to this Midland climate. You know, we go cool springtime to 100 degrees, and in the summers 120, and it's just very dry here. So I have to find tomatoes that kind of work. I've done the beefsteak. Some year it's good, some year it's bad. I've done this Roma VF. It does really good for me every year. I've done that one for about 3 years. I tried the Hot 100s last year. These little guys didn't do so well for me. Sorry, I'm probably moving the camera too much. And some of these were in variety packs that I got, or bonus seeds. So I'm just trying some of these out. I don't know which ones will be like the hit, which ones will, you know, work the best, but that's how you try them out. See which ones taste good, you know, see if it's worth the hassle to grow them, because tomatoes can be finicky, man. They can be labor intensive. So a couple of things I'm going to add to my organic soil will be coco coir, and that's going to mainly be at the bottom of the cups to help with the wicking and pulling that water up through the wick. Another thing with that coco coir, I'm going to put a little perlite in there just to be safe. I just don't want to oversaturate the bottom. I want to give those roots some space and some almost like aeration, or give it a little bit of room. I don't want it to be really solid and soggy. And the last main ingredient actually came from my father-in-law. So he had started working with some worms, and man, he just gave me some like black gold, man. Look at all these worm castings. So all of this stuff is going to go in there too, which will help feed these plants, these little seedlings. And I've actually watched a few videos recently where guys were talking about how good this stuff is for your seedlings, and like mixing this in with your seed starting mix to help. So this is like all organic. He just basically has a worm hotel, and is just producing these seedlings. So he hooked me up with a giant bag of worm castings. So this is going to save me so much money, because I normally just buy them, and that little bag is pricey. So I just got this huge container. It's probably like 5 gallons worth of worm castings on the house. So basically what I'll end up doing is we'll end up trading. I'll send him home some tomatoes, and I'll keep picking up these worm castings, and hopefully I'll get some worms from my garden later on in the year. So really happy that I'm gonna have this to add to my little mix. So kind of making a home blend, and hopefully these will all help these little guys get really big. Good. All right, like any good chef video, we got all of our ingredients. We got all of our gadgets, our tools, everything's ready to go. So let's cook a self-wicking cup. Again, got my cup. Start with some cocoa core, a little bit of perlite. Oh, stuff's so fluffy. Like, I wish you could kind of feel how that stuff feels. This is really fluffy and airy. So now I'm kind of mixing it in, and actually, I don't know. I like to use my hands, I guess, if you're scared of worm poop. You can use your fingers, or a stick, sorry. You can use a stick, a little bamboo stick. And I kind of liking the consistency of this. It's looking really good. So now I'll just add my organic potting soil on top, and I'm almost about halfway. And that will be my cup. This will sit inside the plastic cup, go in the tray, boom, boom, plant, water, and we're done. Hopefully we're done for about 3 days before I have to fill this back up. I'm gonna go ahead and speed this whole process up and basically mix all my dry ingredients, just like we're cooking. Might as well keep the cooking analogies going. And mix all my dry ingredients. So that way I don't have to deal with, ooh, should probably wear a mask for that too. I don't have to deal with all of those, so I'll mix all this up. We'll get this all, ooh man, super fluffy. And I'm really liking the hand consistency on this. I mean, it is fluff city. And I think that's what's going to really help all my seedlings really grow. So you got cocoa core, perlite, and I mean this stuff is, and that's what you want, where it's kind of like a snowball, you know. So I got basically some fertilizer. We got some aeration, and we got some water retention. And really, it kind of felt like a mini version of Mel's Mix if you're familiar with square foot gardening. There you go. So this will go on the bottom of all the cups. I'll kind of fill it in with some of this other organic potting mix, and then my seedlings will go on top. So let's fill up a bunch of cups. So here are all my cups set up. Put a little bit of amendments in there, not much. Really, it's just a lot of extra worm castings at the top. Put castings at the bottom of the cup, but I figured I better put some at the top so they can be in contact with the roots. So now we're gonna take these bad boys and pull them out of their trays and fill all of these cups up with baby tomatoes. Another thing I forgot to mention too was, like, you can definitely write on these, but I want to reuse these for different plants and over the years probably change them. So I'm going to go ahead and pop the cup out. I'm going to put the label on the green cup. I'm going to put the label on each cup, and then that way they're not like permanently on there, and I can reuse these and see how many seasons and how many seedlings I can get out of these. So I'm just labeling all my plants on masking tape, put them on the cups. Once they're in there, cups will go in the tray. Tray will go on to the rack of lights. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show one, and I'm about to do 36 of these. So we'll start with the little Puron sprayless. So that's why I like these trays with like the little bottom like rubbers, because like it's so much easier to pull that plant out. Look at those awesome roots. So I'll take that. I got 2 in here, so technically I could pull this apart. Looks like this one might not be as good, so I could pull this out like that, and basically I got 2 tomatoes out of 1 cell. I don't need this many tomatoes, so I'm just gonna save this one, try to get these roots as deep as I can. Pull out some of my soil and put that tomato down in there, fill it back up, backfill it. Now There's a little tomato in there. And it'll go into the rack. And now just rinse and repeat this about 30 something times. All right, got them all done. 36 tomatoes. And I'm gonna call these self-wicking cups. Double cup, double self-wicking cups. So now I'll top them off with water and let's put them on a rack. All right, so here's the finished product. Got my wicking cups, and I went with clear cups and a clear container so I could see how much water was in there. So it should make it a little easier to keep track of the water levels and the tomatoes. So I got some more seedlings going, and here's some more plants, herbs, some flowers, and here's all my peppers. So I put these in little 2-inch containers, and I'm bottom watering these, and they look really happy. But that was maybe about 3 weeks ago. So these guys are probably about a week away from needing to go into another bigger pot. So I probably could have skipped up potting maybe 2 times if I would have just went straight to the cups. So from now on, I will probably be using this double cup method, double wicking cups, whatever you want to call them, to take care of them. But this is kind of my growing seed starting station.